All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Shapiro, so glad you could join us on a Tuesday. Looking forward to World Series Game 1 tonight. Also, the NBA season. We're not talking about a great day in sports. Today is the day. So, speaking of sports, Michael Jordan, I would think it's fair to say, best basketball player of all time. There's some players that are close, but Jordan's the best player of all time. Controversial figure, doesn't do a lot of interviews these days. Did a national interview yesterday, and he was asked a 10-part series on the 1998 team, and here's what Jordan had to say about that.
I didn't want to do it, in all honesty. I felt like it was raw enough that people would not really understand the mentality that it takes to be a winner and to be a leader. And I'm still nervous about it. It's going to be interesting to see how people interpret the whole thing. That's going to be the most intriguing aspect of the whole thing.
So, yeah, this 10-part series is coming out soon, and I'm certainly going to watch it because I was a big fan of basketball in the 80s and 90s, and so that's going to be certainly interesting.
That's coming out when, like early January 2020?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
So Jordan was also asked if he had to play on a pickup team, who it is that he would include on that team. Here's his response.
You could pick 4 guys for your pickup team, 4 guys that you play anybody else with. Hakeem Olajuwon, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen, and James Worthy. That was 6 years ago. Lots happened in the league in 6 years. Would you keep the same 4?
In a heartbeat. When I'm going in the trenches, I played against and with all these guys. I'm going with who I know. Every single night, that responsibility to go out there and represent greatness every single night.
So he mentioned he's going with the same. And by the way, this interview was on the Today Show on NBC, and they did a really good job with it. So I agree with him. I thought those players back 10, 15, 20 years ago were better than some of these players now for a lot of different reasons. So them things got a little interesting. Jordan was asked, do you still play pickup basketball? And he said no. And he said the reason why he doesn't is because of the fact that he is so competitive and he's afraid he would get back into basketball and he would pull his Achilles or something. I don't think he was being completely honest there because he's extremely competitive when it comes to gambling, and he's extremely competitive when it comes to the golf course. I understand basketball is more physical, but that surprised me, that answer. I didn't quite understand that. So Jordan was also asked about some of these current players like a Steph Curry, and this was his response on why he would not be picking Steph Curry on his pickup team.
So Steph Curry shouldn't be offended when he watches this.
I hope not. He's still a great player. Not a Hall of Famer yet, though.
So that's an interesting statement because that was trending on Twitter. Michael Jordan saying that he doesn't believe Steph Curry should be a Hall of Famer, at least not now. By the way, I tend to agree with him on that. Steph Curry's had a lot of help. I don't think Steph is a very good defensive player. And when you look at Hall of Famers, you could look at great offensive players, but I think it helps that if you were at least a decent defensive player, Steph Curry, in my opinion, has always been a defensive liability. He's a phenomenal offensive player. He is a magician with the basketball. He has go down as one of the best, if not the best shooter of all time, but he is not a good defensive player. Let's see what he does this year without the talent, without a Kevin Durant out there. Let's see how he does. So what do you think about that?
I think he's definitely a system player. Obviously, he's an unbelievable athlete. He's very agile. He's very quick. He's one of the best shooters off the dribble and off the pass, probably in NBA history, but he's actually defensive liability, in my opinion, and he's always had a great supporting cast. Mm-hmm. He has no Klay this year. He has no Kevin Durant this year. He has Draymond Green, and that's it. And if he has a big year, say he wins the MVP, say they don't even make the NBA Finals, say they make the playoffs and make the Western Conference Finals, that to me is a big step towards being a Hall of Famer. But at this point, I agree he is not a Hall of Famer. And but now, as far as MJ's statement about not wanting to get involved, he is ultra competitive. And when you're that age, what is he, 52, 51 years old? Mm-hmm. When you do, say he does tear an Achilles, say he does tear his ACL, that's going to affect his day-to-day life. Right now, this guy is a billionaire who owns basketball teams, who does basically whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't want to compromise that by getting overly involved in a sport. So I actually agree with what he's saying because it'll bring that old feeling back.
Well, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said it best when it comes to Michael Jordan, that Michael's cared more about his Nike products than he cared about humanitarian issues. So we'll get off of Michael Jordan.
You know what? Michael Jordan basically made Nike. Without Michael Jordan, is Nike what it is today? The answer is absolutely not.
No, well, but it's about money. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not arguing that Michael Jordan didn't make Nike Nike a lot of money and made Nike what it was. What Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was trying to say is Michael Jordan has done more
He's definitely
for his own cause than for others.
He's definitely a capitalist with an ego. That cannot be denied.
Well, and I don't think he's done enough for charity either. Even Tiger Woods does a lot for charity. And when you look at a guy like Michael Jordan, I think he's an extremely selfish individual and not a great guy.
But Tiger Woods wore a smile on his face and was cheating on his wife. I mean, he had
Michael
this,
Jordan has done the same stuff.
Yeah, but he didn't do it like that. Though Michael Jordan he
didn't get caught.
He's always kind of been who he's been, and you've known that. Tiger Woods tried to be something he was not. He tried to portray himself as something he was not. I don't think MJ has done that.
Michael Jordan is known as one of the worst tippers in the history of tippers. Same with Tiger Woods. I think they actually have a lot of things in common.
And has he denied that?
I think they're both extremely selfish individuals. I have not personally asked him whether he denies it or not, but what we know for sure, based on all the people that I've talked to in Las Vegas, is the two worst tippers in the history of Las Vegas, Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, because they are both selfish idiots.
We actually did an interview with Steve Sear, who's probably one of the most famous casino hosts in Vegas, and he was MJ's casino host for a long time. If you want to listen to what he said about MJ tipping, check it out on YouTube on the Steve Sear interview.
To give you a hint, he agrees with me.